The hardest part about starting coding using these AI tools isn't the actual coding piece itself. No, it's actually getting it started correctly. That is the most clunky part, and that's why I created my project launcher. So if you go straight to a coding agent like Claude Code or Codex or Cursor and just say, build me something, well, that's where vibe coding takes over and it becomes a mess. It has to guess what the app is, guess what files should exist, guess what workflow is, guess what done is. And it does a decent job filling in the blanks, but then eventually it's going to become a mess, particularly if you're building something big and complex. And so that's where most AI project software goes sideways, and we're trying to prevent that. So before I let my builder, i.e., Claude Code or Codex, touch any code or start code, I use my project launcher to get everything set up. Project launcher primes your architect to become an architect. That's what we want, right? It creates the starting structure for the project. And that is the most clunky part. And that's what we're trying to admit. The folder, the planning files, the sprint area, the docs area, the architect builder methodology, all of that stuff is set up for you by using this project launcher. And so the point is not to make the AI coding more complicated. We want to simplify it. And we want to separate roles. We want to have an architect that does all the planning, does all the kind of brainstorming with you. And then we got a builder, the coding agent, to do the specifics with the detailed plans. It's not to start from a blank chat or vibe. We want to do a disciplined approach. And so today I'm going to use this project launcher to start a real project for me, my 120X command center. The idea is simple, right? I want a local mission control screen for all of my AI software projects. So every project I create, when I code, I use this architect builder method. It has a detailed folder system. And inside that folder system are the current state, decisions, risks, open questions, the requirements, the blueprints, the acceptance criteria, the handoff prompt. It's a lot of stuff, but it's organized and it works. But right now, if I want to know where each project lands and sits, are they ready for the builder? Which ones are blocked? Which ones needs the architect back? I have to look at the folders manually. I have to open things up. So I'm going to build a high-tech local command center for myself that scans these project folders and shows me the status of every project. Not a generic dashboard, but a cockpit for my AI software factory. So I thought I would demonstrate using my method to build this tool for myself. And I'm going to use Claude today. I'm going to show you how you can use Claude and Claude Code on their desktop app. Keep everything isolated into one area. It's kind of nice. Claude Chat is the architect layer, and Claude Code is going to be the builder layer, right? Same desktop ecosystem, separate roles. But you can do this in ChatGPT or Codex. It's agnostic on the tools. So the architect defines the project. The builder executes from those files, right? That's the architect builder method, keeping those roles separate. So that's the whole point of the method. Don't ask the builder to guess. Give it the folder, the blueprint, the acceptance criteria, the handoff, just like you would if you were building a house. The GC could build the house, but why not go to a specialist, the architect, to give you those detailed plans, extract that dream, and the GC knows exactly without ambiguity what it's supposed to do. So that's what we're going to show today. So let me show you. Let's get started with my project launcher. Okay, here we are in the project launcher on the web. The first thing we want to do is make sure we get the methodology in a markdown document into the project we're going to set up in Claude. In this case, it could be ChatGPT. So I'm setting up a new project in Claude for my command center. Now, the resource area where we put the files right here, I'm going to put that file that I just downloaded from the project launcher. Now it has the methodology based in the reference documents. But we also want to set the personality of the project. So there's custom instructions that I'm going to copy from the project launcher here as well. You can view that in the project launcher just for your looks. And I'm going to go back to my project and put the custom instructions in there. Now the project has the architect builder personality baked in. I'm going to go to GitHub, set up a repo for my project, copy that URL. I'm going to use it here in a second. And then I'm going to start the project. I'm going to enter the project name, the client name if I need to, the project slug, what type of project that it is. It's an internal app. We're going to put the tech stack unknown. I'm going to put that GitHub repo URL there, and we're going to put a description of what the project is. And now we're ready for the architect intake. Now we're going to answer all these intake questions from things like business problem, the user, the roles, the current workflow, pain points, target workflow, source material, system tools, data inputs, out of scope, what does success look like, and any other open questions. Again, you would take your time doing this. For the sake of the demo, I've sped this up, but then you would generate that, and now we're in our project. We can edit our input up there, but most importantly, we're going to download the specific file folder system that's unique for this project. We're going to download it to our hard drive. And then and there it is right there where I've unzipped it. That's your unique folder system for this project. I'm going to go to my hard drive or wherever I put all of my builds. In this case, this is where I put mine in my builds folder on my 120X main folder. And I'm going to go ahead and drag this project that we unzipped and put it into my builds. Now we're set up for all the file structure ready to get input from the architect and the builder. So that's the key. And then the next important thing is grab the architect starter prompt to start the conversation. You can visualize it here. Again, it's specific for this project. I'm going to copy that. And when I take this architect prompt, I'm going to go into Claude, into my project. I'm going to paste it into my chat. Everything's all set up, like we said, with our reference files. And then we're going to paste it into the chat and we're going to start the conversation. Now I'm going to speed this up, but this is a very important part, the initial conversation with the architect. And basically, based on the input that you provided in the project launcher, it will determine how many questions it'll ask you. But basically, what's happening here is a back and forth between me and the architect creating the macro plan. He's asking me questions, doing a lot of heavy lifting, and at some point, I'm going to tell him to generate the architect pack. Now, the pack, which is what's getting created right here, are the detailed and explicit instructions to give to the builder. This is why this method is so powerful. There's no ambiguity about what we're trying to build and what we're going to tell the builder to execute. So what you're seeing right here is the architect pack getting created, and now it's created, and just look at all the detail that we have in the architect pack. Tremendous amount of detail. This is why this method is so powerful, and it's going to get your project off on the right foot with no ambiguity, and you're going to get clean code in a disciplined file structure that is hard to beat. So just look at how much detail is in here. So once we go through this and we approve the architect pack, then we're going to get ready to talk to our builder for the first time. All right, so now this is where it gets a little confusing where people get lost. But basically right here, I'm going to take this architect pack and pay attention. I'm going to navigate to my project folder, into the planning, to the architect pack folder, and I'm going to place the architect pack 1, all those files into that folder. Now the architect has a command to me to give the builder, the initial one. It's all right here. I'm going to copy it, and it's basically called the dry run. The dry run is going to tell the builder, and I'm going to start a new project. I'm going to paste that command down there, and then we're going to navigate to make sure we're working out of that same project folder. So that's what I'm doing here, navigating to the folder that we created, the project folder, so it knows that where we want it to write the files. And I apologize, I got the command line cut off, but I paste that command in there, and then I hit enter. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to read that architect pack, all those files and all those instructions that we put into that folder. That's what's happening here. Now, while it's doing that, I'm going to rename this sprint over here so it makes sense. I'm going to create a new group for all of my chats in the builder. We're going to call it for our project, my command center project. He ran that first command, and it's basically in the dry run is complete. So I go through it to make sure there's nothing weird in there. It looks good. And then I'm going to go back to my architect, and there's a second command there where we're going to apply that. We're going to apply the folders or the architect pack to the file system. And basically what we're telling the builder to do here is to write and update all the files into the file system. So that is what's happening. He's not coding. He's writing things to the file system. I'm going to rename this sprint 001 over here on the left. That's just for me to keep things straight. Looks like he applied everything from the architect pack into the file system, which is great, which is what we wanted. And so right now at this point, again, I'm just going to make sure I get the sprint name to something that makes sense. And now I'm going to go back to the architect, and we're like, hey, we applied those first 2 commands, the dry run and the application. And now we need the initial prompt to give the builder to start the implementation plan. Now, there's a couple places you can get it. You can obviously go to your file structure and get the handoff prompt, or in this case, I'm going to ask the architect to go ahead and give me the starter prompt, which is what I'm doing right here. I apologize you can't see the command line below this on my bad screen recording here. But essentially what the architect is doing now is creating me that initial prompt for the implementation, and that's what you see right here, this detailed prompt. We've done the dry run, we've done the application. Now we're going to say, okay, tell us your plan on what you're going to do for this first sprint and according to the architect pack. So that is what this detailed prompt is right here. Now, once the prompt is done from the architect, I'm going to copy this. We're going to go to our builder. Claude Code, sorry, you can't see the command line, but I'm pasting all of that there and I'm having him execute. Now, this is going to take a while, but he's basically essentially coming up with his pre-flight plan. He's telling us how he's going to execute and detail what the plan is going to be. Now, while he's doing that, I'm going to go back to the architect and just show you, look at the detailed instructions. You can't go wrong. The architect is holding your hand here and telling you what to do when the builder gets done with his plan. So, and just all based on this nice detailed prompt. Again, shows the power of the system. So we're going to go ahead and let the builder finish his plan, and then we're going to look at that pre-flight plan, and we're going to take it back to the architect once he's done. Now the builder's finalizing the Sprint 001 plan, nice detailed plan that's going to ask for our approval. So I'll copy that, take it back to the architect, see if he approves the sprint. He does with some edits and caveats, gives me a nice prompt to give back to the builder. So we take it back to the builder, and he executes the 001. Now he's actually writing code at this point. When he's done, we take the results back to the architect for final acceptance. He did. He said it looks good and very robust. We copy that and we close out the Sprint 001 in Claude Code in the builder, updating the state and committing the code to GitHub. We double check GitHub that the code has been pushed, and it has. And then we go back to our architect and start generating Sprint 002 architect pack. From here, it's just a repeating of what we did, is getting the architect pack, putting it in the hard drive, opening up the builder, doing the dry run, the application, and then telling it to give us a pre-flight plan, approving the plan, and then executing the final code, writing the code, accepting the code, and then pushing it and committing it to GitHub, just like we did in Sprint 001. So at the end of the day, I did 3 sprints to get to the minimal viable product. This was the last sprint that I did, Sprint 3. And at the closeout of the sprint, it gave me a hyperlink to the minimal viable product. And here it is. Here's my cockpit that scans all my project folders on my desktop and gives me a scoring system for each one of my projects. So not bad for an hour's worth of work in 3 sprints. I can certainly will work on this and make this even better. But just to show you what's possible in a short amount of time. This is the folder structure of the actual project that we just did. Again, because we launched with the project launcher, the builder it sets up all this organization. The builder will update this as you go, updating the state. All our architect packs are in there, all the individual sprints with all their documents in there. Great organization, and allows you to create pretty much anything that you can come up with from a coding standpoint. Well, I hope you can see that the project launcher will allow you to reduce that friction to get your coding project off the ground, which is the hardest part. Using the project launcher will allow you to prime the architect prompt, allowing Claude or ChatGPT to become the architect, to have that meaningful conversation so you can start that architect builder method, get that coding idea out of your head and bring it to life. If you want to use this tool for yourself, click the link in the notes below, and I hope to see you on the inside.